The Invest in Her podcast is brought to you in part by Wells Fargo Bank. Hi, I'm Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation. I'm also the podcast host of Invest in Her and an award-winning producer, author, and TEDx speaker. Our show, Invest in Her, features phenomenal female founders and funders. As you know, women receive less than 2% of venture capital funding. Our series is about accelerating the funding of women by connecting them to funding resources. Let's meet today's guest. Welcome to this week's edition of Invest in Her. I'm your host, Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation, and more recently, producer of Show Her the Money, our movie about women getting only 2% of venture capital and how we're going to change that. So I've on the ideal guest today to talk about this. Her name is Laura Gerson. She is the co-founder of Nix Gerson Media and also co-founder of Venture F. Let's welcome her to the show. Hi, Laura. How are you?
I'm good, Catherine. I'm so excited to be here. I'm always happy to chat with you. You know, I'm such a fan of everything you're doing.
Well, thank you. Back at you. Mutual.
Mutual love fest here.
Yes. So there's so many things that you're doing. I want to mention that you're on the board of LAVA, the LA Venture Association, right?
Right.
And also
the Los Angeles Venture Association, yeah.
Yeah. And the also the board chair for the Women in LAVA. And we just did an event with you all, along with C-Suite and FEI at the City Club, right? A screening of Show Her the Money, which was phenomenal. I had, I think, a couple hundred people there and very enthusiastic crowd. And we really appreciated you all supporting that. So let's kick off by starting talking about how you got involved with LAVA and what it is, so that people are aware of that entity.
Well, the Los Angeles Venture Association's been around for 30 plus years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been in LA for a long time.
I wonder if they had any women members in the beginning. I kind of doubt it.
I would highly doubt that.
Yeah.
But I can't speak to that because I don't know for sure. But you know, it's been a mainstay in the venture ecosystem in LA for all of that time. And has gone through a few, transitions over the years as the needs of the venture community have changed. But our focus right now is really on not only supporting the founders within the venture community with, events and gatherings and education and pitch competitions and ways for them to be introduced to capital sources. But also, our executive director, Darren Eng, has really taken upon himself to focus on educating accredited investors within the Los Angeles environment about becoming angel investors and venture investors. A lot of people are, this, we talk about this all the time. Like, a lot of people are very interested in doing this, but it's getting started and finding their path to investing that's challenging. So a lot of what we're doing at LAVA right now is focused around that, is around investor education, building community, deal flow, building a culture within LA of supporting this environment. We gotta keep that capital flowing.
I love that you're the co-chair for the Women in LAVA, because obviously LAVA realized that they needed an actual entity separate called, Women of LAVA, to bring more women into that venture capital space, right? So,
well, yeah, and we have several small subsections of LAVA. We have LAVA Bio, LAVA Space, Women at LAVA. There's multiple of them. They're all listed on the website. But Women at LAVA in particular, we do recognize that women like to congregate a little differently, and when we're all in the room together, there's a different vibe and a different energy. And I don't know, I think the comfortability of conversation is a little different, and making those really intimate connections among the investor community, the LP community, and the founder community, within that lovely room of women is very helpful. It makes you feel more comfortable. Oftentimes, because sometimes venture can feel very overwhelming.
Yeah. So fast forward, you start Venture F. So tell me about that, because now you're really talking my language. This is about women investing in women, right? So you're co-founder of Venture F. You have the Venture F podcast. Tell me all about this and how people can get involved, because I love what you're doing with this, with the hub that's within that Venture F, where people can join your community, and there's everything from research to a directory of funds. Tell me a little bit more about that and why you created it.
Catherine, you're hired. You want to be my publicist? You just described it beautifully. Venture F is really the culmination of everything I've been doing for the past 20 years, all the relationships, all the research, all the knowledge that I've gained in my personal experience in venture. I'm married to a serial entrepreneur. I know what startup life is like. We've been through numerous raises. I know what it takes to build a viable startup and to raise capital. And so, and having been an advisor to female founders and to startups for over 20 years, just really realized that, again, getting to the capital piece of it, how do we take all of the information and the resources and the knowledge that I have and put it in one place where I can share it with everybody else? Like, I don't need to keep this to myself. Let's make sure everybody knows about this. So, we launched Venture F in January. Really ideally to create a central repository. We call it our library. We're building a resource library where early stage founders can access information about accelerators and grant programs and capital advisory services, what the best events and communities to join as an early stage founder, or early stage investors if you're trying to find investing communities, education resources, the best events to attend, what to read, who to listen to, how to learn how to invest. All of these resources, like your incredible podcast and your community, Catherine, like how do we put that all in one place, and it lives in the hub, so that when you become a member of Venture F, you're able to access all of that information, but you can also access it through our newsletter. Anybody can sign up for our newsletter. Every week it goes out every Friday. We spotlight different communities and events and programs and people from our website, and then we skim the news for you. We read endless amounts of emails and news sources every week so that we can skim the latest news in venture for women in the newsletter. And then, of course, we have the podcast. And the beauty of the podcast is I've been very fortunate throughout my career. I guess I'm a super connector. I meet a lot of fascinating people. And I thought, well, why would I keep all the wisdom of the incredible conversations I have with these people to myself? I should share them with everybody. Everybody should hear their wisdom. And so that's the idea of the podcast. And it's just incredible experts on very specific topics, giving out nuggets of knowledge in very bite-sized and understandable formats. It's fun. 25 minutes. We're all busy people. Come listen to a podcast and learn something about building your wealth, investing in women, launching a startup, raising capital, you name it. We're covering all the topics.
I love that. And we need more and more information out there like this. People are hungry for it. Just like with the film, people don't understand what venture capital is. So how are they going to get funding from it? And how are they going to start investing in it if they don't even know what it is? And so that's why I'm grateful that there's so many resources out there now, like your Venture F, for them to learn about it. And you just hit the nail on the head when you said about meeting the most fascinating, brilliant women. Ever since I stepped into this circle of venture capital, it's like I want to shout it from the rooftops, like, this is the most fascinating arena you could step into to meet the most game-changing, thought-provoking, brilliant women. And we've taken our film, Show Her the Money, all around the world and found, I'm telling you, Laura, in every single city, these incredibly smart women exist, and it's so exhilarating to meet them. And so when people step into the venture world, they get to learn about all these innovative ideas that are coming down the pike that the average person doesn't know about. Who doesn't want to know about that? Who doesn't want to invest in that? I mean, this makes it not only a potentially lucrative alternative investment, but it also makes it an impactful one that we can live our legacy on. Like, what are the products and futures going to be of the future? Are they going to benefit women? Are they going to benefit people of color and BIPOC? Well, only if we're the ones investing, deciding what gets funded, right? And this is why, as you and I know, women and BIPOC and LGBTQ have been getting 2% of the pot because we haven't seen ourselves sitting at the table making the decisions of who gets the funding. And so what an exciting time to be able to step in that arena. And now to know that there's resources out there like what you bring with Venture F, your podcast, your community, your newsletter, the hub. This is an extraordinary time because, like you said, you just launched this. This didn't even exist before. So this is a great opportunity for women to step into this arena and learn about it. I say it's the new book club. Like, only
what podcast are you listening to this week?
Way more exciting, way more fascinating, way more profitable. So again, how do people sign up for that newsletter?
Just go to venturef.com and you'll see the newsletter sign up on the website. You can also follow us at Venture F Podcast on Instagram, and also on our LinkedIn page. I'm following you on LinkedIn. I'm having the best time living vicariously through your world travels as you take this really powerful film on the road and share this message that we're all working to solve, right? We're all working collaboratively on the same mission to change this. Like you said, innovation is the future of humanity, and which innovation gets funded is really up to who's sitting at the decision table. Who controls capital matters, and we really need to be focused on that. And we need more women investing, whether it's in themselves, whether it's in the stock market, whether it's in venture. Be the decision maker, own your financial opportunities, your financial destiny.
100%. And I think we're both part of that movement. It is absolutely a movement going on to get more women, with them coming into trillions of dollars women coming into trillions of dollars in the coming decade. What are they going to do with it? We have to make sure we are educated on this. Here we are women impact 80% of the buying decisions. Why aren't we impacting more of the investment decisions? That combination is super, super powerful in a positive way, right? So thanks for this work that you're doing. Do you have any advice if you're an entrepreneur looking for funding in venture, and or if you are a woman wanting to invest in venture but not really sure where to start? What would your advice be?
Well, fundraising is never easy. And, so you really need to have your investment opportunity down. Like if you're raising from an investor, and not everybody needs to raise venture dollars, but if you're raising from an investor, they're looking at it not only as a fascinating company and they believe in you and they invest in you as an entrepreneur, but ultimately they have to get a return on that investment. So you need to be clear on what that return will be. And in your early days, you may not really 100% know. When you're first at the ground level, you're just coming up with a great idea. And that's where your friends and family and your angel investors come in. But once you get to the VC table, they have a fiduciary responsibility to their investors. And so they really want to understand what the potential growth for this company is, what your trajectory is going to be. So be clear about your total addressable market, what your exit strategy will be ultimately, and how their return is going to come back to them. So those are things to keep in mind. I see a lot of decks that are beautiful decks, that are wonderful storytelling decks about your concept, but make sure your financials are in there. Make sure that you've done your market research. Those were my two pieces of advice. If you're an investor getting started, and for founders too, community is everything. Invest alongside other women. because you'll learn from them. And, there will be women in investing communities that may have industry expertise that you don't have that can lend to your decision to invest in something. You could get in on an SPV, learn how to invest alongside those women and build community. I've talked to so many women who've invested this way, who have actually built incredible networks and relationships with other women just from being part of an investment.
And I'm going to jump in there and just say SPV is a special purpose vehicle. So maybe you don't have $25,000 to put into a company, but maybe you and 5 of your friends can each put in, or 4 of your friends can put in $5,000 each in what's called a special purpose vehicle to come up with the 25 to put in to the fund or into the company. So I always like to explain the abbreviations, because I know in this I've learned in this arena we throw around acronyms that throw people off, where they're like, I don't know what that is, therefore I'm not going to invest, So I always like to explain it a little bit.
You're absolutely right. We actually have a glossary on the Venture Up website for that reason.
Oh, I love that.
Because you'll be listening to your podcast, my podcast, anybody else's podcast. You might read something you think, I don't know what that means.
Yes.
So every time we come across a term that needs explanation, we put a very simple description on our glossary.
I love that. Well, so when, why, and how did you step into venture, since it's so unusual for women to be in this space?
I'm really glad you asked me this question, because it's a fun story. I'm actually from Atlanta, and 20 years ago during the .com, to 20-something years ago during the .com days, I worked for Gina Bartozzi, who's the founder of Kindbody, which many of you may know the company. It's they make fertility treatments accessible to everyone. They've had a huge run, $315 million raised in debt and equity funding. They have a $1.5 billion valuation. But I actually worked with her at one of her very first startups, which was a publishing firm. And it was called Leader Publishing. And we had a business-to-business publication that was like a local Inc. And we had a Catalyst magazine, which was like a local fast company. So during the .com days, this was an exciting time in Atlanta. ISS, WebMD, Silverpop, all of these companies were coming out of Atlanta. And I was producing upwards of 18 events a year for the company. So it was, awards dinners and breakfasts and networking events and speaker programs. And it was just an exciting, fun time. But I was honestly one of 6 women in all of these rooms. It was a very small community of women. And the tech community at the time was very heavily male dominated. And it was funny. It was an interesting thing. So I knew all the other women in the room, and we're all still friends actually to this day. And I was advising a lot of startups out of this and working with a lot of startups. And that really began my love of the startup community and really learning about the tech community and being part of that. And then when my husband and I moved to Los Angeles, I was happy to be a stay-at-home mom. I was going to, hang up my hat and hang out at home. But the producer in me didn't want to retire. And I found myself continuing to do events and plan, gatherings for my mom friends. And I realized that there was a hole in the market. There really wasn't a website that was like a what to do with your kids in LA. So before Red Tricycle or Mommy Poppins or Macaroni Kid existed, I launched Mom Angelus, which was really where to go and what to do with your kid, and ultimately became a platform where I was working with brands who wanted to reach moms and people in the parenting space. And I became like the VIP room person who was hired for all the big baby shows to bring the momfluencers and the celebrity moms there. And we were producing all the interview series and the digital content. I was co-producing the SoCal Wellness Summit for many years, booking a lot of these women who were launching fascinating businesses in the parenting space. And so I got brought back in full circle into the startup space, and I was advising many of these women and realized female founders need more help. They really do. Here we are full circle. And as a result, started doing a dinner series and started advising founders. And ultimately, that culminated in us launching Venture F.
And you also are co-founder of Nix Gerson Media. So I take it that puts on the events. And what do you do with that media company?
Well, we develop and produce content that celebrates women.
Great.
And so, we produced the Venture of podcast. We did a really great interview series for the Riveter when they were going strong with all their locations pre-pandemic. Amy's done a tremendous pivot with that company, by the way, really making it a resource for founders and helping them build their social media marketing strategy and ability. We've done a number of commercial projects, and we continue to, we have a couple of things in development.
Love that. And, I saw here in your bio that you did the Women and Worth Summit, booking some of the most incredible speakers, in the arena, like Stacey Abrams and Sally Krawcheck and others in that same, awesome level of speakership. So, you have really done some incredible work. And, and
I believe that women's voices and stories, are so important, and we need to give women platforms in which to share their expertise and share their stories. And the more that you can do that, and I can do that, and other producers are doing that, it really supports everything else that we've been talking about today. So, I've booked hundreds of incredible women over the past 15, 20 years on multiple stages, on podcasts, on interview series. And I'm so proud of that, to be able to continue that work with my own podcast today, really it thrills me. And I just love it. I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah. Isn't that great to be doing what you love? And it's always, Laura, so prevalent when I see you. You're great energy. You're super excited about what you're doing. It's always great to see somebody being their authentic selves and living in that arena of doing something that you really love and care about. We're certainly aligned in that path. Mm-hmm. So thanks for all that you're doing in venture capital for women, giving them a place to gather, get research, information. You have your fund directory, which sounds amazing also. So thanks for doing that. Thanks for doing your podcast. And where would you like people to reach you? What website, which social is the best way to connect with you?
Well, LinkedIn is always the best place to reach me. You can also go to the Venture Of website and fill out the contact form, give me a little information about how we can be helpful. And I'm always happy to connect. You know me, I love to meet other fascinating women.
Yes, amen. And so on LinkedIn, you will be Laura Nix Gerson. Mm-hmm. Okay. And for those just listening, that's Gerson. Thanks so much for taking the time today. Everybody, of course, you can also find me, Catherine Gray with an A, on LinkedIn. And look up our movie. showherthemoneymovie.com. We also have resources there, and of course our screening schedule, and you can book screenings. So we look forward to seeing you on social. We look forward to seeing you in person. We look forward to connecting with you through various means. And thank you for taking the time to tune in today. Thank you, Laura, for being a great guest. We appreciate having you on with your expertise in the venture arena. Everybody, make it a great day. Remember to invest in her. Thank you.